Welcome to the Appetite for Discussion show with your host, Brendan Crouch. Tonight's show is brought to you in part by Hunk of Junk Hauling.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in again. So tonight, if you can, as always, if you can name the intro song title and the artist, there's a free giveaway. And tonight, all you have to do is reply on the YouTube channel, and you're going to get this cool welcome to the Forge of the Advanced Firearm Training Dark Camera Defense t-shirt. So make sure you comment on the YouTube channel for that, which is a nice segue to tonight's guest, Mr. Jason Welburn. Thank you, sir. You are the owner-operator of Dark Camera Defense, is that right?
Yeah, I am. It's actually a subsidiary of Duncan Gun Shop now.
Okay.
So I sort of rolled in there because it gives me a home. You know, I've got an indoor range now. I've got an outdoor range. I've got a lot more options than I could have had just by myself. So, but
Okay.
yeah, it is a subsidiary of Duncan Gun Shop now.
And where's it located at?
Wilkesboro, North Carolina. North
Okay.
Wilkesboro.
Is it out by the gun shop, like out back, or is it?
We have an indoor range downstairs.
You do?
And then we have an outdoor range off 421 at Windy Gap Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get to play with a lot of toys.
Yeah, I try to try out everything new that comes in.
Really?
Everything new, yeah.
What's the newest thing that's come in that you're really having fun with right now?
FN's got a new 9mm pistol, a tactical version. It's got the red dot optic ready and everything. It's called the FN 509, and it's a really awesomely set up pistol.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we had the new Scar 20 come in. It's a $4,500 Scar.
I don't
308
even.
rifle. It's awesome.
Julius, you know what a scar is?
No.
I don't either. I mean,
Short answer.
Short answer is no. I mean, I enjoy guns, but man, I feel like you just rattled off a whole bunch of shit, and I have no idea what you just said.
Well,
but it all sounds cool.
We'll get you up there sometime. You can try some stuff out.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
How does someone tell me about your training course? What do you do? What do you teach?
Well, I teach the Gambit. In the summers, I teach kids classes, kids rimfire classes, stuff like that. I teach a lot of ladies-only classes, introduction and defensive level ladies classes. So we take them through the intro level. We teach them all about the nomenclature, all about the cycles of operation of the different weapons and stuff like that. And then we do a little marksmanship with them. And then if they want to come back for the defensive level stuff, then we go to the outdoor range. We teach them about emergency reloads, tactical reloads, drawing the weapon, engaging multiple targets, shooting from behind cover, all that kind of stuff. So that's for the women. And then we have advanced combat pistol. We're rolling out a new class next month that is the advanced tactical carry class. So everything drawing from cover, shooting from inside of vehicles, shooting under vehicles, shooting around people, and stuff like that. Stuff that's really applicable to someone who's carrying concealed. Because North Carolina concealed carry class is awesome. You've got to have it. It's all about the laws. It's 8 solid hours of the laws, but it doesn't truly prepare you to draw your weapon, shoot past 2 people into 2 or 3 different bad guys, you know. So that's what we're really trying to go for, make it more real world.
Well, and that's important because, you know, carrying your concealed weapon is one thing, but knowing how to properly handle the firearm, but also know under the pressure what to do, right? Because you clam up. If you've never been presented with that, even in a safe scenario, at least I would imagine hearing the guns fire and firearms and things popping out from behind here and there would only prepare you more if something were to happen in a real life event to you.
Well, studies show that you know, when you train to something, there's a real fine line in training in real world. So if you train to these different scenarios, then when it happens in real life, you'll be a lot better prepared for it. You don't want the first time you ever have to do something to be in real life. You'd much rather it be in training. So that way, at least you have a semblance of an idea of what you need to do.
Yeah.
So that works out well.
And so you can do like a basic sort of tactical firearm training, but then you get, I guess, more like of an advanced.
Advanced, yeah, and that's where you're doing a lot more close quarter stuff. In my classes, at least, you're doing a lot more close quarter stuff. You're doing with people right up on you. You're moving people out of the way to engage the target. You're shooting from outside of a vehicle window or across the passenger side. You know, something like that. It's not a class for your average shooter. It is a class for someone who's been vetted and who can show the proper safety protocols and knows how to handle the weapon a little more proficiency than your average static target shooter.
So I couldn't just show up there and pay whatever the fee would be for this advanced level. Like I would almost have to go through, would you say like a screening or vetting process?
I would absolutely have to vet you. Unless you've been through one of my classes or a comparable class through another well-known instructor, then I would feel the need to vet you, not for my safety as much as everybody else's safety.
Yeah, sure.
Out there, you know?
But no, I think that's good because I wouldn't have thought that initially, thinking, anybody who can write the check or flop down the cash, some schmuck walks out there and just starts, thinks he knows what he's doing or she knows what she's doing, and they're actually very careless.
Right. And people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
But that's what, as instructors, we're here to point out for you,
So how would you, so if someone wanted to sign up for a class or some of the tactical training, how would they get a hold of you to do that? Or where do they go?
Well, we're on Facebook. We're on Duncan Gun Shop Facebook, and then we're on Dark Hammer Defense Facebook. I have a ladies group called Damsels in Defense, who we put a lot of stuff out through. And then they can call the shop, Did I give the number?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 336-838-4851. 336-838-4851.
And they can find you on Facebook at Dark Hammer Defense.
Dark Hammer Defense or Duncan Gun Shop.
Or Duncan Gun Shop. And how much does a class typically cost?
Anywhere from 150 to, say, 180. But then the big expense is going to be your ammo. Because for 300 rounds for this class or 500 rounds for this class, we've got a long range school that is an awesome introduction. It's actually, I'm the training director. I don't teach the long range stuff. I went through the sniper schools and all that stuff, but the guy who actually comes and teaches that is the current MARSOC Marine Corps sniper instructor currently. So he comes up and puts on an awesome 2-day class, and that's about $350 for that class. But the basic class goes out to 700 yards. The advanced class goes out to 1,800 yards. So he really does some work.
And so do these classes last, is it 1 day or is it like a 2 day, like a Saturday, Sunday or Friday, Saturday type?
The pistol classes are 1 day.
Okay.
The carbine class, like the Black Gun AR-15, it's a 1 day class. Sometimes it's a day and a half, depending on what level you're at. The long range is 2 days. The women's classes are 1 day classes. The basic concealed carry, which I don't teach. We do teach it up there, but I don't teach that part. And it's an 8-hour class.
And we had Sean Thompson on.
Oh, yeah.
He was with Aaron, and he has Gray Man concealed carry that he teaches concealed carry. And so how did you come into the business of teaching tactical training? Like, what led you to this?
Well, I grew up about like everybody else in North Carolina, from the mountains, hunting and all that stuff with my dad. My dad was a big shooter, a big gun collector. He really enjoyed doing that. And so I naturally gravitated to stuff he liked to do. Yeah. So I shot a lot as a child, and as I grew up and grew older into it, I really enjoyed shooting a lot more. Of course, I went through the military. I went into law enforcement, and in law enforcement is where I really took off as far as wanting to train. So I got my law enforcement specialized weapons instructor credentials, so I could teach the pistols, the subguns, the shotguns, the sniper rifles. I could do all that at a law enforcement level. I got the NRA certs. I got the concealed carry certs. And then I just moved on, ended up overseas as the lead close quarter combat instructor for the State Department on a contract, and did a little bit of urban combat operations. So my background is sort of in the tactical field. I was with the SWAT teams down in Mecklenburg County, and then I did some stuff with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the guarding nuclear stations and stuff. And so that's where I sort of started building my repertoire for the tactical side of things.
So you were a police officer here in Statesville for a while, and then in Mecklenburg County?
And then I went to the NRC, or I went to Duke Energy and worked at the nuclear stations.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard of some folks doing that. And what was it like guarding a nuclear station?
The training was awesome. I mean, training was probably some of the best in the state as far as, we had the M4s, we had the pistols, we had the Barrett sniper rifles, we had all that good stuff, shotguns, all that good stuff. Training was great. Honestly, it's a little boring. And so the boring part of it led me to go overseas contracting because I had all this awesome training, but I never got to use it. So I thought, well.
I would assume, though, guarding a nuclear power plant, if you had to use it, shit would be going down. In a bad way.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they
so
said
I'm so glad that you were bored.
You want to be bored. Yeah, if
you
you're
want
not
to be
bored,
bored.
you're not
There's a
doing
problem.
Right. But yeah, supposedly if something had went bad at a nuclear station, up to 1 million people could be dead, from the fallout and all that stuff. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
pretty big deal.
Yeah, I want
people everyone don't even know what goes on
to
at
be
these
bored.
stations.
That's true. They don't know, and I think I would be scared if I did know. Because you drive by the nuclear power plant, there it is, but you don't realize I guess how really guarded and secure it really is, because we as civilians don't probably see and realize what else going on.
No, you really don't. And it's awesome that they have so many super well-trained personnel. I mean, they have a ton, and you just don't know it.
So for those guys, do they have to train them in hand-to-hand, or is it more sniperish type?
They do a lot of hand-to-hand. They do a lot of close quarters, and they do a lot of marksmanship. So it's, they do the gambit, because they never know if they're going to have to be clearing a room or if they're going to have to be stopping people at 200 meters. So it's the whole gambit.
It's the whole gambit.
Yeah, because everything's, if they can't stop them before they hit the fence, then they got to stop them when they get in the building.
God, that's intense, man. I'm so glad that you were aboard. So that led you to go overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And who were you working for then?
I was on a WHIPS contract, which is Worldwide Protective Services, with a company called Blackwater.
Okay.
I was contracted to the U.S. State Department on mobile diplomatic security. So I was high threat vetted, so I could work in Africa, Israel, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Well, wow. You said a lot of words there. And I don't think so. I don't know a ton about Blackwater. I'm really kind of excited about diving into that topic and talking to you. But from what little bit I do know, I believe that it's a consulting company, right?
No, it is actually, they provide private
security
military services. Yeah, private
security
military.
detail for the military.
Right. Well, we have DOE contracts. I'm sorry, not DOE. DOD. Department of Defense. Yep. But we also have State Department contracts. Okay. And that's what I was with. I was with the diplomatic side. So there's all different kinds of security contracts out there.
And Blackwater was initially started by a Navy SEAL, right?
Yeah, Eric Prince.
Okay, mm-hmm. All right. And but there's been a lot of a little bit I know. It's very little. Is there was a lot of controversy. There was some backlash and stuff like that. That I don't really know what that was all about. But I don't know if it was really warranted. They were like calling it like a mercenary group or something like that. But I don't think that was. From what I read, that was just a bunch of.
If you really if you do any research on it, you can really see that it wasn't fair the way Blackwater was treated. And it was in Iraq. It was an incident called Nasir Square, and a Blackwater TST team, which is a tactical support team, came under fire.
Okay.
And they returned fire just like they had done in every other incident for the previous 4 or 5 years. Nothing had changed, but for some reason that the investigation was held differently. It was and 5 of those guys are still in prison now for murder. They were charged with murder in a foreign country, in a war zone by our government, and they are still Raven 23. If you look it up on Facebook, there's a support group called Raven 23, and those guys, their story is on Facebook. And you read through the facts of it, and you'll be wondering, like I am, why are they still in prison?
I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so. Was it like a rules of engagement maybe that they supposedly happened, or
supposedly some witnesses, some Iraqi witnesses said that Blackwater fired first, and they were not under fire. But
gotcha.
Iraqi witnesses,
right. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times, what I've read a couple books and stuff, it seems like the soldiers who are over there were really under a lot of with the rules of engagement. Like, how do you even know who's the enemy and who's a farmer?
You didn't a lot of times. I mean, how many times do I think, gosh, in 2016, there were so many U.S. personnel killed by people in the Afghan military who were insurgents who had infiltrated the military. I mean, it's ridiculous. It happens all the time. But
if let's say that there was gunfire exchange and maybe a farmer was shot, you would get in trouble, right? Because he was not.
He was a non-combatant. Yeah.
Man, how do you do it? I mean, it's like, what? I don't understand. It just seems it makes it very difficult.
The value of life in these other countries is a lot different than it is over here, and that's what's hard for people in America to understand. Death is looked upon as very commonplace in these other countries. I can remember one time when I was in Afghanistan, there was a federal team out running the roads, federal officers, one of the 3-letter teams, and they were out running the roads, and they ran over a child. Yeah. The family came to the embassy, complained. The embassy paid them $1,500, and that was the end of it.
And that was the end of it.
Yeah, so it's if somebody's tried for murder in a foreign country like that, it's very political. There's a political motive behind it. It has nothing to do with the Iraqis going crazy. It has a political tinge to it.
You know, I think you hit on something that I think we take for granted here, me included, is the, how other countries look at, you say, life or death, right? I think here we are very, a bad day for us is slow Wi-Fi, right? Or we got, we're stuck on 77 traffic. It's different in these other countries. And with your law enforcement background and dealing with some of the not so pleasant people on planet Earth, and then going across overseas and having to engage that type of being in that environment, you've truly, would it be fair to say that you've seen the face of evil in a way? Not to be overly dramatic, but
yeah, I would say I've seen some amazing things. I really have. Somebody asked me one time, well, how is it they can convince these people to be suicide bombers and all this stuff? And I told them, I said, well, whenever you go to the capital city like Kabul, Afghanistan, the capital city, and nobody has electricity. It's like 10% of the city has electricity. There's no running water. They rolling around in the dirt all day long. They have nothing to look forward to. So if the Taliban or Al Qaeda or whoever says, hey, we're going to pay you $10,000 to your family if you go kill yourself and you're going to go to heaven where it's a paradise,
right?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Because you are miserable. You're living in a miserable existence right now. Why wouldn't you take a better deal, especially if you could provide for your family when you did it? It's simple. It just makes sense to me.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can't hear. Like, I can't even wrap my little tiny brain around that. It doesn't compute for me, right? And I think a lot of times, especially, in today's climate, we get caught up in the emotion of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And almost like it's almost like we need our military, we need our leaders to have like a moral courage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, to do what the tough decisions are, to make that tough decision, even though we hope the outcome is in best, but we need to worry about you and I and in America, of course. But we also, I don't know, it's tough. When I see stuff going on like at the border, people overseas fighting, it's tough. And I don't know how you guys are able to go over there and deal with it day in and day out. And then you have your police officers here on the streets having to deal with crime. And, they put themselves out there. And I couldn't imagine being in a police officer's shoes.
No, and you don't know what the political climate's going to be. If you're a police officer, are they going to support you today if you do one thing? Or, are they going to throw you to the wolves? And are you going to be,
Do you think the political climate when it comes to the police force, from now to when you were active, has it changed?
It seems to have changed a whole lot. Now, I'm not active now.
Yeah.
I haven't been a cop in 10 years, but I don't know that I could do it now because I got nothing but respect for the guys that do it now.
Sure.
But it seems like everything they do is under extreme scrutiny. But if you were to ask my father-in-law, who was a former state trooper, retired in like 82, had it changed a lot since from when he quit and I started? It's evolving.
Sure.
It's evolving. Maybe not a good way.
Yeah, I don't know. There has to be a fine line of like not having rules and authority and police officers, and then obeying the law, right? So you can't have anarchy.
No.
Right, but you also can't have people out there using or going into excessive force and stuff like that. Look, that happens. There's a few bad apples, right? Yeah. Of course. Everywhere, right? But as a whole, law enforcement's a good thing.
Absolutely. Cops
are, for the, I would say 99.9% of them are good people.
They are.
And they're out there doing a job, trying to do their best, and they're trying to go home to their family like everybody else.
And the bad part is a lot of the laws they have to enforce that are imposed upon us by the government They don't want to enforce them.
They don't want to do that.
No, because
Yeah.
a lot of them's ridiculous. I mean, we have 2,200 active laws on gun ownership in the United States. 2,200 laws.
How can you remember all those?
I'm a statistic junkie. I'm sorry.
Well,
I know numbers.
but no, that's a good thing. But if you're, I mean, how in the hell, if you're riding around in your patrol car, or if you're, how would you know that guy's breaking 1649? That, you know, I mean,
yeah.
I'm probably breaking the law right now, and I don't even know it
Yeah.
by not knowing what law I'm breaking.
But guess what? We'll probably have some new gun laws this year. Probably have more. I mean, it's just one example. I mean, I'm sure there's at least that many gun laws for laws for everything else.
That brings me to a question I wanted to ask you too, about the Las Vegas shooting. Since you're probably the most the expert that I know and I've talked to about firearms, can you explain how the bump stock worked, if that was even something that could even be possible? I've watched some videos on a bump stock, and it looks like they're all over the place. And I don't think, from what I've heard, the sounds of it, that seemed too rhythmic.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Is that the
Oh,
right?
yeah. I am so funny about that shooting. I mean, it's been a year now, and no new information has come out. Nothing's closed on it. A bump stock's a ridiculous gimmick. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You couldn't hit that wall over there with a bump stock whenever you're trying to cycle it as fast as you can. What it sounded like to me, and I'm no expert,
Yeah.
but it absolutely sounded like a belt-fed 240 to me. That's what it sounded like. What I'd like to know is where all the brass is at, where all the burnt carpet, where the hot brass. I've got scars on my back where a 240 dumped some brass that was shooting off the top of an up armor vehicle. It dropped down between my skin and my bulletproof vest,
Yeah.
and it burned scars on my back. And it didn't melt the carpet. We don't have melted carpet all over this place. You know,
Damn, that's a good point.
Yeah, I just,
That's the stuff we don't think about, right?
No.
See?
Anything running cyclic like that is going to throw out some super hot super hot brass, and that brass is going to melt whatever it's hitting.
So what would be the point? Let's say that what would be the point of even bringing up a bump stock? Like, is there a back door or something? Like, if you ban that, it gets you to something else?
If you remember when they tried to ban the bump stock, then they started about throwing in the high capacity magazines. We're talking about binary triggers, and then that gets the whole assault rifle stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a slippery slope, and that's what they want. You know, every little inch they can take is just one more thing. Every right you give away is one you'll never get back.
Damn, that's a good point. That should be on a T-shirt. What would you say the biggest misconception about firearms is?
Oh gosh. Well, so I teach a lot of beginner level classes because I love teaching beginners, because you know that's how you get them into the shooting sports. That's how you get them to where they can protect themselves. That's how you open up all these new doors for them. And the biggest misconception is that gun can go off if you don't put your finger on the trigger and pull it. I mean, you pull the trigger. You know, they think if you point it this way or point it that way, or you touch it in any other way than on that trigger, it's going to go off. But it won't. These guns will not go off. They're very well manufactured. There's a lot of safeties internal. There's a lot of fail safes. As long as you keep your finger off that trigger, it is not going to go off. That's probably the biggest misconception I see.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people, the second misconception is, I don't need to train. I've got a $2,000 gun, and I go to the range once a month, and I don't need to train for anything else, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right. What is the biggest mistake that you see people who come to your class make?
Biggest mistake, a lot of people have trouble with sight alignment and sight picture. I mean, it's hard for people to, and it's not really a mistake. It's just a training issue, you know. So it's hard for people to align their sights, stay on target, and smoothly press that trigger to the rear while maintaining the sight picture. That's probably the hardest thing for people to do.
When you say side picture, what does that even mean?
So when you take the front sight
Yep.
and the rear sight and you align them, you
Yep.
properly align them, that's called sight alignment. When
I gotcha.
When you take properly aligned sights and put them on the target, then that's sight picture. So that's aligning your sights onto the target.
See there? I was listening through my bad ear, and I thought you said something else. Got it. Now that makes sense. Would you say that your classes, or have you seen an increase, I guess, of women taking your classes?
Oh gosh, it's unbelievable. We've probably seen a 40% rise in gun purchases by females in the last year.
Really?
Females are the biggest growing clientele we've got.
Is that I find that as a surprise because a Republican and Trump is in office. I would expect to see that number when more than likely a Democrat's in office, right?
Right, yeah, I can see that.
I wonder what the increase would be then.
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I know that our classes, our beginner level classes, has been really nice. A lot of women, especially new to the shooting sports, really don't want to train around men because they're intimidated, for lack of better words. They're intimidated to be around somebody who may know more, something like that. So we have exclusively women's only classes, and that has. I've seen people buy 3 and 4 guns after coming to that class who've never fired a gun in their life. So they really embrace it. Yeah. I'm not really sure why women in general are buying more guns, but they should. I mean, they should be empowered to protect themselves.
Yeah, of course, sure. You know, that's a good thing. You know, if you're away or out of town and your wife's there, you want to know that she's safe.
Absolutely.
Right? You can have an alarm system, you can have a dog, but, you know, if you need something else, you should be able to have it. Is it, I was always taught that the best gun for home defense was a shotgun. Is that true? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I really do. Overall, why wouldn't you use a shotgun? I mean, you just got to get close.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have kids or people in other rooms you've really got to worry about, and then that's just choosing the right shell for the job.
Right, because I would probably be so nervous and shit my pants that I would need that. I don't really need this super, night sights, red vision, because I'm like, I almost. This is a funny story. I don't know if I've told this story before or not, but it was right after our kid's second birthday, which is just a few months ago, and we were laying in the bed and we heard my wife heard a like I was like, she baby, something's downstairs. And I'm like, what? And it sounded like something was ruffling through the drawers, and I was like, ow, what is that? And I was like, oh man, damn. So I get up, I get the gun. I'm like, okay, shit. All right, I'm gonna go down these stairs. I'm gonna let them know that I'm coming down, and I have a weapon, and I'm in fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm letting them know. And I'm like, it's about to go down. She's standing up there at the top of the steps. She's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And I come down there, and I'm trying to my best not to freak out. And I'm like, all right, I'm about to, die hard this son of a bitch, barrel roll through the living room and pop up.
Yeah.
And I come around and I look, and it's The Incredibles like tin balloon had got stuck in the fan and was going like and I was like, oh man, Mr. Incredible almost ate it. So we laughed about it, and but the good thing about it was we both really didn't panic. We made sure that the kids were safe. They were over there. I was going to go downstairs. She knew what to do, and luckily it was just the balloon trying to take over the house.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good you had a plan.
Right? Well, a semi-plan, right? Yeah. But if they'd have got through me, she'd have been in trouble. If Mr. Incredible would have got me.
So here's an amazing stat for you, because I told you I like stats, right? So 2016, I go by the Uniform Crime Report, which is the FBI's crime report they put out every year, but it's always 2 years behind. So the latest thing they got is 2016.
Okay.
There was 3.3 million break-in and enters, residential break-in and enters in that year. That's about 7 a minute. 30%, which were home invasions, which were while people were at home. So that's pretty impressive stats. You're looking at probably 2 a minute in the United States. So
damn.
If you don't have a plan for what you're going to do, should somebody kick in your door, you might want to think about it.
So 2 a minute. So we probably been talking about 25, 30 minutes. So
60 people got their door kicked in while they're sitting at the house.
Is anybody listening? If you're listening, hit pause. Go lock the door. Yeah. Call your alarm company and get your firearm. Damn, that's scary.
Yeah, that is.
But that's a real life statistic.
Oh yeah, it's a statistic. Uniform Crime Report, FBI. You can look it up.
But then there's people who go, well, that's come from the government. You can't trust them. They're trying to force guns down your throat, through fear.
Well, I don't know. That comes all from law enforcement reporting agencies. I mean, even Statesville reports to them. Mooresville reports to them. So, I mean, I would have to think that's a factual stat, because the government probably don't want you to have a lot of guns. They don't want you to think, well, I need to go buy 2 shotguns to protect my home. They probably don't want you to do that.
That's a good point. And I say that example I gave was I was trying to have the discussion with someone about police shootings and what the statistics show. And their rebuttal was, well, that's a government statistic and you can't trust that. Now, wait a minute. Which now it's fun because now we get to pick and choose which ones that one. Yep. Police shootings, they shoot 90% of everybody they come across. No, they don't. Yeah, they do. Okay, well, this says they actually know. It shows X. That's a government statistic. That's not. You can't believe that, man. So one of the things I know that I wanted to go backwards a second back to Blackwater. When you're overseas and they're contracting you guys to help with the, I guess you're there to help, like we said, protect some of the service people and diplomats and
it's
do
mainly
this and
U.S.
that.
diplomats. Yeah, it's mainly so. Like if a governor comes to Kabul, Afghanistan, then he would be assigned a team. And so the team, anytime he left the embassy, wherever he's going, anywhere in that country, our team's attached to him. So it's usually a 12-man team.
So when I watched the movie 13 Hours, would you guys, would something like Blackwater been able to go and protect the embassy that was under attack? You guys would have helped them fight off the people who were coming over the wall and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah, and Benghazi, that was an OGA contract. That's a CIA contract.
Okay.
Which we also have those.
Okay.
We also had those. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So I was thinking about that when we talked about you doing the show. I was thinking now, would he have been protecting the protectors in a way?
They would go assist. They would have gone assist. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Damn. That's wild. What's one thing that you have seen? Because there can't be. I'm imagining there's not gunfire and fighting every single day.
No.
At every single minute.
No.
So in the downtime, what are some of the things that you see or impact that you're having on that community that's positive and helping them, or in that territory or region? Like, are you building stuff? Are you helping them with water? Do you see groups come in and help any way whatsoever?
Yeah. Now, USAID was over there. USAID, is a government entity, and we had a team that was designated just to protect those guys. Whenever they would go out to do whatever, give money or help with whatever, we would protect them. That was one of the things we did. As far as what did we do?
Well,
we didn't do anything.
I shouldn't say you. I guess I would imagine that you saw different things happening that most people, when we hear about it, all we hear is about all the bad shit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't ever really get to hear about the good stuff that soldiers are doing, over there and helping rebuild or help in any way. There's not fighting all the time.
We would have U.S. personnel embedded into like the Ministry of Finance to help them try to get their finance back on track. We had them Ministry of Health. We had American personnel over there trying to increase their infrastructure, trying to strengthen it and make it good.
There you go. I guess that was the words I was trying to use, how to help them with their infrastructure.
That's right.
See, I think that's something that gets left out a lot, right? We're just going over there and we're doing X, Y, and Z, and shit's happening, it's going bad, but we are trying to do some good over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of different ways, and I think that gets left out. You had mentioned earlier to me one of the things that you are into conspiracies, and I'm super pumped only because I think it's fun to talk about those because I like them. I don't know if they're all true, but there's got to be a little bit of the truth to some of them, right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite conspiracy? Maybe the one that you studied the most, or the one you've dived into the most, or do you find the most entertaining?
I don't know. I really like them all. I mean, whenever something new comes up, I like the false flag conspiracies, where the government says that somebody's doing this to us and they're really not, and they use it to pass a law. I mean, that happens all the time.
So you think that really does happen?
Oh,
they'll just make up some BS as a story, and then they get to create a law.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Damn.
I believe that. But I mean, conspiracies go back forever. I mean, people's going to start thinking we need to put tinfoil hats on, but I mean, you can go as far back as the moon landing. You know, did it ever really happen? I mean, because there's the radiation belt that supposedly would take 12 foot or something ridiculous of lead in the suits to pass through to even get to the moon to begin with for personnel, and not to mention the temperature extremes. We don't have any technology to this day that allow you to stand in negative 200 degrees or positive 200 degrees, just like the sunny side of the moon versus the dark side of the moon. Where's the suits at that can withstand that? I mean, it's all kinds of craziness. Project Blue Book in the 1950s.
I don't know what that is.
Where the United States admitted to studying UFOs, the possibility of UFOs. Yeah. Project Blue Book is declassified Air Force information. Now you can see that. MK Ultra, that's very interesting. That's declassified information from the late 70s, early 80s, where the CIA has now admitted to giving U.S. citizens LSD and other mind control drugs in order to study mind control. I mean, it's all thanks to the Freedom of Information Act. You can find out all this dirty stuff the government is.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm gonna back up. Hold on. So the government was giving civilians LSD and mind altering drugs.
Yeah, MK Ultra.
So how did wait? So how? Wait a minute. So did you did people have to go sign up like, hey, there's this new program that's going to be available. We're going to see how you like, Fruit Loops, but you're not really eating Fruit Loops.
You're eating LSD.
You're eating LSD. Or was it like, okay, we're going to put LSD in Coke for the next 2 years and everybody who drinks it, I mean, how do they control the study, I wonder?
No, they really had a hotel. And I can't tell you all the specifics now because I haven't looked at it in a long time.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Make the shit up. I'm in.
No, they had a place though. They were actually bringing in people for studies. They didn't tell them what they were studying, but they were giving them LSD and measuring the effects. They had one guy commit suicide. It's all documented. Yeah. What about the Tuskegee experiment?
Tuskegee experiment?
Tuskegee experiment in Alabama.
I don't know.
You know about that, right?
No.
Oh, it's declassified. You can find out all about it. It's where so many African American males were diagnosed as having syphilis, but the government didn't tell them they had syphilis, so they tried all these different stuff, experimental drugs on them, and didn't try to cure them. They tried to see what these different drugs would do to them, and a lot of them died from that.
Are you shitting me?
No, man, look it up. Seriously, look it up when you get some time.
God, I need notes. I need a pen. For those of you at home, remind me of everything.
and nothing I'm telling you is conspiracy. What I'm telling you is stuff that's declassified at this point, so you can look it up.
Damn, that is crazy.
Yeah, if you want to talk conspiracies, then we start talking about other stuff.
Wow, I don't know. This is getting deep. Hey, I did want to show you this though. Since we're talking about conspiracies, we need to have a good drink because that's when good stories start flowing. So, have you heard of the Horse Soldier bourbon at all?
It seems like I have seen it before, but no, I can't tell you.
So great story. So back after the World Trade Centers fell, I don't know if you read the book or seen the movie 12 Strong. So there was these group of horse soldiers who went into Afghanistan, okay? And they helped, I'm going to mess this story up, so I'm going to try not to butcher it, but they went in and helped these gain an alliance and take over the territory of the Northern Regime or something to that effect.
Alliance.
The Northern Alliance. There you go. Thank you.
That's the SF group that went into Northern Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so those are these guys. Okay, and they went on horses and did this. Well, since then they've obviously come back and they have come together, several of them, and they formed a distillery called American Freedom Distillery, and they make their own bourbon. And this is one of theirs that's called Horse Soldier. And the really cool thing is that they were able to get some World Trade Center steel, and that is actually the mold that they used. So every bottle is forged out of, touches World Trade Center steel.
That's awesome.
Is that not cool?
That is awesome.
And I believe it's one of the fastest growing brands in the U.S., which is super cool. And I wanted to try some of this here. I've already tried it, and it's very good. But it's hard to get. I think you might be able to get it now in North Carolina, but they only sell it in Florida, and they weren't shipping it to North Carolina. So I actually had to get a customer of mine. He was flying here for a meeting, and he brought me a couple bottles that I'm giving out as Christmas gift. But this is mine. So I want us to try it. And so a friend of mine, his brother is actually one of the horse soldiers. And he reached out to them, and they were super, super cool, and I appreciate it. And they sent me this Whiskey Warrior
Oh, that's cool.
shirt.
Yeah.
And I thank you guys so much for that, and I really do appreciate it. And their whiskey is great. So I'm gonna put a little ice in mine, and we're gonna partake. Do you want ice or no?
Yeah, please.
All right. Sorry for the rattle there, folks. Julius, you, sir?
No, I think I'm good.
That good?
Oh, yeah.
All right. But so yeah, it's a super cool story, and they're doing a great job, and you can check them out on YouTube. They got some videos that really give the story, and you can go check out their website, AmericanFreedomDistillery.com, and you can see some of the stories there. But I wish I could get more of this stuff here, but hopefully we'll be able to have some of this in North Carolina here soon. So, but it's a cool story. Everybody should check them out. And cheers, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. So you were telling me something, another thing about you had posted something on Facebook that I saw that I wanted to get more details about. That there was something going on in Maryland where they were confiscating civilians' firearms. Is that correct?
The red flag laws. Yeah,
Red flag. What does that mean?
It's basically a family member or concerned parties can petition a judge to have someone's firearms removed from their house if they're thought to be a threat to themselves or
Sure.
someone else.
Okay.
But my problem with that is what constitutes a threat, what is the criteria, and there is no due process to it. There's no...
So literally I could say, hey, I could make a phone call and I could say, Jason, I'm worried. He's angry and he's a threat to others, and he has a firearm in the house. So they would come to your home and take it?
That is my understanding. I mean, it would be a little more in depth than that. You couldn't make a phone call. You'd have to go appear in front of a magistrate or a judge, and
Okay,
you'd
so
have to
there's
give your side of a story, but how do they verify the facts?
Well, so does the person who is saying that they're a problem or a potential threat, they don't even know this is going on, right?
Right. My understanding
okay.
is right. And that's where there's no due process. I mean, you can't argue your side of the story.
So they just show up.
They just show up.
Oh, man. Shit.
That's why there's a problem.
Well, yeah, right. And so, and how many instances has that happened already?
I don't know. I know the one where the guy was actually killed because he resisted. And see, the problem is you can resist an unconstitutional arrest. You can resist, but if you resist and you get killed and,
Okay, anyone listening, I'm going to let you know right now, if you know the Constitution, I'm just going to say don't resist.
Yeah, it's best
Okay?
not to resist.
Just get down,
Yeah.
hands out, we'll figure this out later. Like, it's not worth...
No, absolutely not.
dying
Absolutely
for
not.
it, right?
But, by law, you can resist unlawful search and seizures. But you may be determined to be in the right after you're long dead.
Yeah, no, just don't.
Yeah.
I mean...
Just because you can don't mean you should, right?
Right. Damn, I feel like my mom told me that. Just because you can don't mean you should. That's right. So I think that was in Maryland. Was it Baltimore, Maryland?
Yeah, it was.
That's happening. And is it anywhere else?
Gosh, I don't know. I've read about it in some other states toying with the idea. I'm pretty sure California is probably going that route if they haven't already. But no, I am not an authority on it. I just know that little bits and pieces what I posted.
Damn. Are there other little bits and pieces of laws that you see out there that people should be more aware of like, ooh, if people just knew, like, this is down the pipe or this is happening, to just raise awareness for people who are gun advocates or, they're not aware that a certain law's changed or shifted. Have you seen anything like that?
Not as of recent. No, not as of recent. They, gosh, what was it? There's a Democrat in California pushing now to according to what I've read, just, in the early news articles, they're pushing for another assault weapon ban, of course. But
so explain to people, too, when people say assault rifle, they want to... explain that, what we see on TV in the media, what they show, and what they're really talking about.
Well, a true assault rifle, if there's any such a thing, would be a true military weapon that has select fire capabilities where you press the trigger and it fires multiple rounds per trigger press. Civilians don't even have access to that kind of weapon anyway right now, And if you're talking about an M4, it's not even an M4, it's an AR-15, which is made to look like an M4, right, a military weapon, but it's a semi-auto, one press of the trigger, one round down range. Yeah, it does have a high-capacity magazine, which is 30 rounds, but that caliber is available in hunting rifles too.
Sure.
There's nothing really special about it. It's not an assault rifle. It's more of a tactical rifle. It's more of a rifle designed to fit a certain niche.
But it looks scary.
It looks
right?
scary to a lot of people.
And that's the point, right? So if we get rid of the scary-looking thing, then, but what does that really do? Yeah. So, but it's not an assault rifle per se.
No.
So, but it's
assault
interesting.
Assault is an action?
Yeah, but it's interesting, right? How you can use words, right?
Yeah. All to reach an end, an agenda. You can spin popular belief. The media is controlled by people who do that.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Tell me. Tell me. Tell me.
No, I don't have to tell you. You know. I mean, all you got to do is watch CNN.
I do. I do. I flip over, man. I check it out and I see, and I think that goes back to something I said earlier. There's a lot of people who look. Do we all want world peace and no global warming and everyone just to be able to be happy? And could people come in from the northern border or the southern border or the eastern border or the western border and all come here with great intentions and we all sit by a campfire and sing Kumbaya? Sure. Yeah. But aren't there going to be some people who maybe have some bad intentions, who maybe don't have your best interest? Wouldn't you want to know those people? Like, for example, if I come to your expert tactical firearm training, wouldn't you want to know I know what the hell I'm doing and I'm not going to do some harm or shoot myself in the foot or someone else? Yeah. So there's a vetting process, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, most of us, I would assume, would not want a total stranger coming and living in our house that we don't know. No. Especially even if you're single or if you have a family. Now, the moral part of me says, well, if this is someone who really needs help, maybe I would open up my home to them or give them a shower and a hot meal, but you got to go. And I need to know wherever you're going is far away from here because I don't want to also, we don't want our weakness our kindness to be perceived as weakness, right? Because that could always happen too. Oh yeah, and that could be taken advantage of.
I'm all for helping. I think the U.S. is a great opportunity to help all these other countries because our infrastructure is strong. We have plenty of resources. We can do all this and that. But until we help our own people, the children who go to bed hungry every night, and the homeless people living on the street, and the vets with mental illness still from Vietnam sitting on the streets in Washington, D.C., until we help our own, I really don't see the need of going out to help other people yet.
That's a great point. And how do you articulate that to someone who says, well, we're a wealthy country. What does it hurt having these folks come in? Why would you not want to do that? Someone would help you. And yes, how do you find common ground with that person?
Well, honestly, I don't know if I can find common ground with those people because all I
enough.
Really have to do is look at Europe and see what all the refugees are, how they're destroying Germany, how they're slowly making their way across Europe, and they're turning into the cesspool that they came from. And I really don't want that for the U.S.
So what do you mean by that? Because I think that's something I don't understand. So tell me, elaborate on it a little bit.
Just take Germany, for instance.
Yeah, okay.
They've opened their borders, and they've allowed all of these refugees to come into the country, seeking asylum and all that, and rape has gone up 400%. And there's these roving gangs of marauders just committing crime after crime after crime, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it reminds you of the country that they came from, and they're coming from what they came from, the trash that they came from, and now they're trashing up the country that's trying to help them. And I don't want to see that because I'll tell you what, and I've thought about this a lot. U.S. citizens have no idea what it's like to have armed military standing on every street corner, up armored motor vehicles running up and down the streets. But these other countries, Africa, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, man, they're used to have foreign countries just standing on their street corners, with the military here and there, machine gun emplacements, everything. And that's what's coming here if we just keep letting, if we keep opening our borders and not vetting who's coming through.
That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought.
I don't know how you prevent that. I mean, I guess it's an ideology that they have. That's how they're raised. That's maybe even in their religion that has, whatever they're doing over there, taking advantage of. Man, you would think that hearing the rape statistics go up like that, we over here will be stomping our feet, especially during this climate of like Me Too and stuff like that, right? Yeah. I mean, because look, bad shit happens around here, and people of power do take advantage of a situation. But I wonder why do we not know more about that?
Because the refugees are Muslims, and we're a big politically conscious people, and we don't want to talk about Islamic phobic type things.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's what it is.
So how is there a way do you know of a way to fix it or to make it better?
I think we ought to close our borders, and I think we ought to, I absolutely let immigrants come in, but
yeah.
Make them come through the right process. We've had a process in place for 100 years,
Mm-hmm.
Come through just like our ancestors did, do it right.
Do it the right way.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that? I think doing it the right way, we've made it so damn hard, and it takes so long. I used to work with a woman, and she's married now, but it took her 7 years. She went to college here. Her family was here. They pay taxes here. It took her over 7 years to get her citizenship. And I'm like, why? I feel like we could maybe do a better job or make it not quite so strenuous or arduous. Maybe that would help.
I agree.
Maybe if we cut back on some of whatever it is, whatever it takes. It took 7 years. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and she was so pissed.
Yeah.
Because it was delaying something with her school, or like her visa was about to run out or something like that, and she'd applied, but it all worked out. But maybe we could do something. Maybe our government could take a better stance of like, okay, so we know we got a problem. We want people to come in here legally, but it seems like we made it so damn hard to come here legally. It's much easier for them to skip over here and go through the side door.
And it is.
Right. Well, let's fix the front door.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make it, a little bit not as arduous, right?
We can
so
make it
complicated
appealing too. Hey, if you come in the right way, then you're available to vote. You're available to have our social resources. You're available to all this and all that. But now we got people jumping the border and they're on welfare, and they get social assistance,
sure,
and they get all that stuff. Now they want to let them vote.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't go to like Australia next week and vote in their election. No. It's interesting too. Like for example, if you were to go to Australia, you have to have a reason to go.
That's right.
And
you got to be productive.
You got to be productive. You either have to have a visa or what they call an ETA, and you can't be there longer than 3 months, or you got to get out. And you have to go there for business. So you have to have a purpose. I used to go to Bermuda a lot for work, and you have to have a letter accompanying you that tells you when you're getting there and when you're leaving, and you have to leave. That's a tiny little island anyways, population about 65,000 folks, but it can't hold but so many people. Right. And you can't even go there for to find work without having the contacts in place, your interview time. They're going to reach out to that place of business that you're going to try to get a job with. Like, if you're going to go to Bermuda to wait tables, it ain't going to happen. But if you're going to go over there for like finance or to work even to work in a hospital, it's not easy. And I think that's something that maybe we as citizens don't think about our own country that way. You should have a purpose to come here. There should be a reason. Of course, if some bad shit's going on, like in Germany with Hitler, we have to help those people, right? Yeah. And so if something like that were happening now, we would have to make some concessions, of course. But you'd still want to make sure that the people who were coming in weren't masking as bad people and taking advantage of the situation. Do you ever watch that series called Hunting Hitler? I think it's on the History Channel or Discovery Channel. Oh, dude, it's fascinating to find out, is he dead? Is he not dead? They never really found his skull. They found a woman's skull, and all these ties that he had to Argentina and Brazil and Spain, and the amount of support the Nazis had in South America is crazy, and all the infrastructure they had there, in tunnels and mansions out in the forest with Nazi memorabilia and money, and dude, it blows my mind. I don't know if he was really killed or not. Sometimes when I watch it, I have to pause and go, why were these U-boats going and washing up on the shores of Argentina? Somebody was in there of importance, and how they, like the SS soldiers infiltrated through the Red Cross and through the Catholic churches because they were taking in refugees, and they just gave them a fake name, but they were like big time, I guess, captains or whatever in the SS.
Too, that Russia and the United States split all the scientists too. All the Nazi.
I'd heard something like no. I had heard something like that, right?
Yes. We tossed it up and got some of them too over here.
Damn.
There's one of them went to Plum Island. If you ever do
what's Plum Island?
Plum Island is an island where they used to do the major disease research facility. It's off the coast of somewhere up near Maine or something like that. But it was an island where they did research for all these deadly viruses and all this stuff. I think they've since closed it down and it's moved it somewhere else. But that's right off the coast of where Lyme disease started.
What?
Yeah,
that's where Lyme disease started?
Yeah.
Was that a oops that we created?
The funny thing is one of those scientists that we got from Germany happened to specialize in parasitic viruses, and he ended up at Plum Island. And then we have something called Lyme disease. Look it up.
Damn it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's possible that he had something maybe something they were testing and it just went sideways and got out.
If you look at where Lyme disease started, it literally starts. Plum Island is here.
Yeah.
Lyme disease starts here on the mainland, and it works its way out.
Dude, do you ever know anybody with Lyme disease?
No, but it's terrible.
It's awful.
And the funny thing is, it's not funny at all. But the thing is that scientist was, when he was in Germany, he was looking to create a virus that could be from parasitic born that had multiple symptoms that couldn't be treated very simply like a common cold. But if you look at Lyme disease, there's like 50 different symptoms.
Absolutely.
You may get 2 or 3 of them and you may not.
It's really hard to pinpoint, even with, you can have a Lyme titer drawn and you can still have, there's so many different, I guess, strands of variation of Lyme disease that it's really hard to pinpoint, damn it, I think you're right. I'm sold.
You're welcome.
It's a conspiracy. It came from Germany. Damn it. If nothing else, man, I'm nervous. What else is out there that I don't know about, or we don't know about?
Oh well, you can talk about the World Trade Center. You can talk about Waco. You can talk about Ruby Ridge. I mean, you can.
What's Ruby Ridge?
Ruby Ridge, where the federal government went in and murdered that.
Oh, in Waco.
Yeah, and Waco was another one.
Sorry. So Ruby Ridge, what was that?
Ruby Ridge was a precursor for Waco. It happened a long time before ATF was. I can't remember the guy's name, but his wife was killed and his son was killed when the ATF conducted a raid. Something about a sawed-off shotgun. So the ATF did a full-on siege raid, shot his wife through the screen door, and killed his kid out in the woods. That was back a while back.
Damn.
If we're going to talk about conspiracies, I got to brush up. So if I come back and we talk about conspiracies,
yes,
I got to study.
We're going to do a full episode on conspiracies because I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that I talk to who really, they make fun of me. They're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I think they're entertaining. I think they're interesting because probably, I imagine, in every conspiracy, there's probably a little bit of truth in there somewhere. And especially when there's things that become declassified, but everyone enjoys a good little conspiracy, right? It's mystery, it's a mystery. And you'll have people who you talk to and they love conspiracies too. We like that mystery, ooh, we can't trust them. Is it real? Like Kennedy. How in the hell did Oswald fire 3 shots that fast from that with that firearm with a guy who hadn't shot like that in how long?
And then the angles.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be declassified, last year? And then they sealed it again for another 50 years or something ridiculous?
Yeah. But there's
weird.
But then I think, well, is it because they're hiding something, or is it because they just want the story to spin a little while? I don't know. I don't know. But I like that one. If there's ever a Kennedy conspiracy thing on about the magic bullet, man, I get stuck. I can't stop. I'm like, damn it. Yeah. Because I'm like, well, maybe I want to learn something different that's going to change my mind to, yeah, it was Oswald. Okay, well, that makes sense. But I can't find that one yet.
No, there's a lot of stuff went on with that. And I'm not an expert on that, but I've read a little bit about it. I actually had it when I went to Appalachian State.
Yeah.
And they had a whole semester class on conspiracies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know if they still have it or not, but I took criminal justice, and so that was one of my electives. It's pretty interesting.
What was one of the? But you had mentioned something earlier about aliens before we went on the air.
Oh yeah.
So do you believe in aliens, or do you think aliens are not real?
No, I believe there's a possibility. I don't know that I've ever seen one, but I believe there's a possibility. I mean, the galaxy's huge. We're only one small speck in all the multitudes of galaxies out there. How could there not be more?
Man, I hope not, because my brain can't handle it.
And the Air Force believed enough to do a study on it, even if you don't care anything about Roswell. I mean, if you don't believe any of that.
What's Roswell?
Roswell, New Mexico, where the weather balloon crashed. And how do you not know about Roswell, New Mexico?
Dude, I'm telling you.
That's where, the big UFO crash in the 40s or whatever, and where the government came out and people in black suits and told everybody not to talk about it, and they said it was a weather balloon?
No.
Yes. You got to look it up.
No, you got to tell me.
That's all I remember.
I can't look it up, man. I don't have Google right here. Damn, I've got 7 conspiracies I have to look up.
But they believed it enough to start an entire operation based on that, based on the possibility of UFOs, called Project Blue Book. It is a declassified project by the U.S. Air Force to study UFOs.
Damn. So my wife is she's going to kill me, but don't worry, honey. Nobody's listening. She thinks time travel's real. She talked, yeah. I want to have her come on here and talk about that. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it. But she makes great points. I'm like, I don't know. And then we watched this show, Ancient Aliens, which I'm pretty sure she puts that on so she and I both can fall asleep. But I have to stop watching it, man. If I get, if I'm listening to what you're saying and I start to believe it, man, it starts to freak me out because everything I've been taught isn't real, and that's not true. And I'm like, I can't. I got to go in the garage. I got to go. I'm gonna go wash the dishes because this is messing with me. That the pyramids aren't as old as they really are, and I think there was some artifact found very recently, and it might have even been the pyramids or something like that. But they're actually 4,000 years older than we thought they were.
Really?
And it's like, well, shit. Well, who did that? 4,000 years is a long time. Yeah. Hello. So, well, where's that story? I don't know. I can't.
You can't wrap your head around it.
I can't wrap my head around it. And the more I listen to stuff like that, like with the aliens, yeah, I'll listen to government conspiracies all day. That's fine. That's cool. but don't tell me there's aliens.
I don't know. I know it has to be a possibility. Why would it not?
So do you? You said like the Air Force and stuff. I mean, there are sightings that they see, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's documented cases. Just that one study is called Project Blue Book, and it's got all these pilots for the Air Force who are going on record as saying, "Hey, this is what we saw. We can't explain it." Yeah.
Damn. That is wild. You got to come back. We're gonna have to do. I'm gonna have you research your top conspiracies that are your favorite.
Well, we're gonna have to narrow it down. We're going to have to go government and UFOs, and because there's a lot of conspiracies.
Right. So we're gonna have to go with your favorite government conspiracies, and then some sort of artificial life or real life or alien life or something out there on a different planet that.
Can you get your wife to come in?
I would. Well, I think if you ask her. If you ask her to come in, she might. Because you guys could have the conversation, and I could sit over here and really just have my mind blown and hope that yard is full of shit and this isn't real. Because what are you going to do? What will we do? What if this is all like some big test?
Yeah.
You know, we're
Like Men in
actually
Black.
the experiment. Would that not freak you out?
Yeah, it would.
Right. This is all a test. Are we passing? I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, you're probably right. We're not passing at all. What is since with all your career training and whatnot, what is the one job or mission that was your favorite? Like, what's the one thing that you think back and like, man, that was awesome. That was a great time.
I really enjoyed everything I did with Blackwater. After I got on the QRF HRT team, so the hostage rescue team, I really enjoyed that. It was a tight group of guys. It was about 25 of us, and there was special forces guys. There was ex-MARSOC Marines. There was, I mean, it's just a gambit of people that all came together, you know, with all the backgrounds and all the experiences, and we lived and bled and did everything together, and it was really awesome. Just anything we did was awesome. I remember Clinton came over, Hillary Clinton, and, you know, my political affiliations aside, I had a job to do, right?
Yeah, sure.
So she came over, and, you know, we were the outer circle. We were the ones that protected the Secret Service circle that she had. I mean, they look good in their suit and ties, but you got the big knuckle draggers with heavy machine guns and up armor vehicles, making sure nobody actually got close to them. Right?
Sure.
Yeah, Obama came over, Angelina Jolie came over, so we got to protect a lot of influential people. You know, John Kerry, you know, McCain, all these guys. You know, so that was pretty cool. Plus, I got to work with a lot of people from other countries too. British SAS, Australian SAS, G10 from Afghanistan, Kiwis from New Zealand. I mean, just the best in the world we got to work with, and that was pretty awesome. So just the whole, I can't say anything bad about my experiences with them, because it was just really. So
you got to meet some of the special forces from other countries?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we work with them. We'd help back them up. Like when the Intercontinental Hotel got hit, the Kiwis were the primary and we were the backup. So, you know, yeah.
So let me ask you this. What makes our special forces, I'm just going to lump, you know, for lack of my knowledge, I'm going to lump all of our branches of special forces into a bucket. What makes our bucket of special forces so much different or trained better than other countries' special forces? I mean, because we would say ours are better.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. And what is it that we do that makes us so much better?
It is the technology that we have and the resources we put into the research of training, what it takes to make this individual soldiers better, what it takes to give them the best edge they can have on the battlefield. And that's what we do. That's what our military does. It really wants to put out the best of the best, and they do. Close second would be SAS, Special Air Service from either England or Australia. Those are some hard-hitting dudes. I mean, they would stand toe-to-toe with the SEALs. I mean, they're great guys, and well-trained, rugged, rough people.
It's like, I like them.
Yeah,
they're rough, they're rugged.
They're tough. Yeah, you definitely wanted to have them with you if you needed them.
Damn. I was listening to a podcast a few months ago, and I think Tim Kennedy was the guy on there, and he was saying, I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but I think like your special forces usually have like a team of 12, 10, maybe it's 10, but we'll say 12. And but right now, I think he was saying that 80% of the elite forces are only manned at like 8 per team, 9 a team. They're so under capacity that they're having trouble filling the full team.
Yeah, I read just the other day they're having trouble getting people to actually try to become special forces. You know,
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it'd be different if we were starting a new war. You know, patriotism would go up and people would want to. But we've been fighting the same war for 10 years. Nothing new's kicking off. You know?
Right.
So typically, when something like that happens, we'll have a rise in patriotism. You know.
I didn't think about that. You know, I wonder what the capacity was for the special forces before 9/11. You know, were they under capacity? You know, were they lightly, 70-80% max, and then something awful happens, and we have these warriors who come, and they're warriors, because not everybody can do the shit that they did. Not everybody did the stuff that you did either. You know, but these guys are the best of the best.
They are.
And for them to be able to do, number one, to sign up and go do what they did, and then compete and qualify to be in such special programs, I couldn't do it.
No.
No. I'd love to say, I could do it. Nah, I couldn't. I would drown.
Yeah.
I think I could get through some of the stuff, but I'm going to be honest, man, I swim like a rock.
Yeah,
I can't swim, dude. No, like, I can't.
The drowning phase would probably go well for you then.
No, I would die. That's where I would have to go ring the bell and be like, guys, I'd love to, but I know me and I'm going to drown. I can't even hold my breath for like 12 seconds. And I can't swim worth a damn. And I can't even float on my back. My heels go down and I sink like a rock. Everyone's telling me to chill, relax. You're going to be fine. No, it doesn't
work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that. So obviously I would be a cook. I'm like a mean omelet. Well, hey man, we'll wrap this thing up real quick. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your honesty with everything. Appreciate you going down the conspiracy road with me a little bit. I do want you to come back because I think we'd have a good time. But I would like if you want to go ahead and plug Dark Hammer Defense again, and tell how they can get in touch with you if you have any upcoming classes or anything like that. So feel free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, we're Dark Hammer Defense on Facebook, or Duncan Gun Shop on Facebook, or Damsels in Defense, because that's our ladies group, and it's more of a social gathering. Ladies come out and they get to shoot a little bit, a lot of socializing. Me and another instructor's there, so if they need any help or anything like that, we can help them get going with that. So class wise, we teach anything from kids class to introduction to long range rifle to close quarter combat with a pistol, rifle, patrol rifle techniques, concealed carry, and advanced concealed carry. So we got more coming, but we only got so many weekends in a year.
Sure. Well, man, I wish you all the best. Thank you for everything that you've done for in law enforcement, and plus, overseas for us and keeping everybody safe. You've seen a lot of different experiences that other people haven't had the fortune or misfortune of seeing, and I can't thank you enough, and I appreciate it. And everybody, remember, if you can name tonight's intro song and title, you get this cool ass shirt. So tune in, leave the comment on the YouTube channel, and again, thank you to American Freedom Distillery and Horse Soldier Bourbon for this cool ass shirt. I appreciate you guys. Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy.
I appreciate you.